his love for soul food, his eating habits. He had this robust appetite for soul food, and he would eat with his hands. And you know that kind of quality endears one to the very common people. He always ate with his hands, most of cases. He loved the ribs, spare ribs. He loved chicken, fried chicken. He loved pig's feet. He loves collard greens and cornbread. So he was able to relate to people at the lower levels of the social economic ladder because of his eating habits.
Soul food.
Yes, soul food. And also his love for music. He had a great love for the Negro spirituals, for gospel music, also for rhythm and blues, Sam and Dave, the music of Aretha Franklin. So he was able to embrace different kinds of music. He was able to had a great appreciation for dance. He was very playful. He teased people a lot, and he used to tell a lot of jokes, and had this tremendous gift of folk wit, humor, and laughter. He loved to tell jokes about Negro preachers. He loved to tell jokes about the Negro church, and jokes about the movement. So he was a very fun-loving person, and he found the energy, the inner resources to celebrate and enjoy life, despite the fact that he was receiving sometimes 40 telephone calls a day threatening his life. He was jailed some 20 to 25 times. His family was threatened. He was the victim of verbal abuse, racial epithets, but he still found time to enjoy life, to celebrate life through his eating habits, through his love for music and dance, through his tendencies to be playful, to tease people, and also through his gift of folk wit and humor and laughter. Dr. King, according to Ralph Abernathy, had he not succeeded as a civil rights leader, he would have succeeded as a stand-up comic.
That's right. That's exactly it. Had not Barack Obama been the president of the United States, he would have succeeded as what? A stand-up comedian.
That's right.
That's exactly it.
So to say that Dr. King was in some ways the comedian of the civil rights movement is not to trivialize his role.
That's right.
He was a tremendous leader, but he was able to inject humor and wit and laughter into the movement, and even in the most difficult situations. Because, for an example, before they moved into Birmingham in 1963, Dr. King preached a mock eulogy for Ralph Abernathy and others who were involved. Said, look, we're going into Birmingham. Some of us might not make it. This is what I'm going to say over your dead body. And it created a lot of laughter and that kind of thing. And it eased a lot of the tension and the anxiety that came with these demonstrations. So he was able to inject humor, and it became very acceptable in the circles of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and in the larger context of the civil rights movement.
Laughter does something. There's something that you can do with laughter and that you can't do in any other way.
It has a healing effect, and Dr. King understood that, a healing effect. So he turned to laughter and humor. We know that spirituality was important, you know, praying, that kind of thing, but laughter, humor, sustain them in the context, re-energize them in the context of the movement. And we have to look at laughter and humor if we're going to understand why Dr. King was such a resilient personality.
Yeah, he understood that.
Yeah,
he understood the importance of a good joke, a good statement that will bring about laughter at a special time, has a healing quality and characteristic.
And in that sense, he was part of a culture, because as far back as the days of slavery, you find that African Americans were able to laugh at their condition. And James Weldon Johnson wrote about that in the 1930s, about the gift of laughter. humor in the black community and how it was a compensating mechanism.
Laugh instead of crying.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. Sometimes you want to cry, but you might be too old to cry, and so you come up with something funny in reference to laughter.
Yes, it was a compensating mechanism. Right. It had a healing effect, and Dr. King was an heir of that. So he was able to bring humor and laughter into in the context of the movement.
That's right. And that's a good quality to be able to understand.
Yes.
See, a lot of folks might not understand that, but sometimes humor can break things.
Exactly.
You're all tied up and whatever, and somebody drop a good line.
Yeah.
And especially a person of some authority or whatever, he might drop a word on you or something.
Yes, and what I've done in the book is to use Howard Kleinbell, who is one of the great psychologists of religion, and to use Lawrence Levine, who is a cultural historian. Kleinbell talks about the healing effects of laughter and humor. And Levine, of course, talks about laughter as a kind of compensating mechanism. So I've used these scholars to frame my thoughts about Dr. King and his use of humor and his delight in laughter and wit in the context of the movement. So that's a side, I think, that has not been covered in the scholarship on Dr. King.
And I think that that's a contribution. That's a big contribution in terms of who Dr. King was.
Yes.
You see, you've got his statue on the Mall in Washington, D.C., and you know all these other things about this great man. But here was a man that could tell a joke, that understood a joke, and could have laughter among his friends and etc.
Yeah, we know the superhero, the larger-than-life personality, but we don't know the ordinary person or the human being.
And you're able to reveal this in this book.
That's
right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this second commercial break, and then we'll come back with this final segment. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Sometimes you will laugh instead of crying.
That's right.
That's right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
see a lot of situations that you see, and I think I've said that on many occasions, looking at the continent of Africa and hearing some of the weird things that folks are doing in terms of stealing money and whatever, and then you laugh about it, but you want to, you laugh instead of cry. The only other alternative you have is to cry over it.
That's part of the survival instinct, I think.
That's exactly it.
I think people,
that's exactly it. Our people went through that a long time. Yeah, if you can't laugh, if you were a slave and you didn't have the ability to laugh, the man looked at you because you might be ready to start a revolution or something. Right. And so you don't want you
wit and humor and laughter.
That's right. That's right.
Being able to laugh at your condition, I think, speaks to a level of maturity that very few human beings reach.
Or very few people understand. You see, the court jester is somebody. The king needed him.
That's right.
That's right. You needed him. And I certainly appreciate this. This is some excellent information. I think this really throws a different perspective in terms of Dr. Martin Luther King. He's still the man that had a dream.
That's right.
He worked his way up there.
It didn't undermine his sincerity.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. That's one of the great characteristics of being a leader, humor. If you're a leader, you can't laugh about things or have any kind of humor about things. Then you
can't be a quality leader.
Can't be a quality leader. So we've got this final 10 minutes. Thank you, and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. LBaldwin.